Namaste, beautiful yogis. This is going to be an intermediate to advanced level interval Vinyasa flow yoga class with a specific focus on cardiovascular endurance, core strength, and weight loss. With appropriate modifications, it can be used by beginners as well. Let's begin at the front of our mats. Open your hands out, palms facing forward, chin parallel to the floor, lifting the kneecaps, engaging the core, extending the tailbone slightly down. You can swing side to side, finding the balance, observing the balance, observing the left and the right side, drawing an imaginary line in the central axis of your body. Inhale the hands all the way over the head, lift, look up. Keeping your back straight, exhale and dive all the way to the floor, folding forward in a forward bend. And let's wrap the wrists around the elbows and allow the upper body to hang heavy. Softening the neck, softening the face muscles, softening the gaze, softening the eyelids. Continue to focus on your breath, bringing your attention to your inhalations and slow exhalations. As you exhale, soften your back, soften your spine. Inhale, look ahead of you with a straight back, come all the way up to standing. Press the palms of your hands together and let's bring the hands in prayer over the heart. Big breath in, chair pose, reach all the way over your head. Exhale, hands on the floor, straighten your legs. Inhale, look ahead of you, straight back, pull the belly in. And let's take the feet all the way back to plank. Strong core, pull the belly in, press the heels away from you, squeeze the inner thighs towards the midline. Open the chest, drop the shoulders down, spread the fingers wide open, really paying attention to your hand alignment. Breathe and be steady here. Slowly lower down, chaturanga, upward facing dog, roll the shoulders back and down, tuck the shoulder blades into your upper back. Back to chaturanga, exhale, downward facing dog. Pull the belly in and up, keep the fingers spread open and work your heels towards the floor. The focus here is not bringing the heels on the floor, but the focus is on the downward motion of your heels so that you're elongating the back of your legs, stretching hamstrings and calves with some softness in the stretch. And let's step the feet to the front of the mat. Exhale, bow down. Chair pose, bend your knees, sit back. Inhale, come all the way up to standing. Arch, hands over the heart. One more time, chair pose. Sit back, strong legs. Exhale, forward bend. Inhale, look ahead of you, straight back. Hands on the floor, step back into plank. Shoulders down. Back wide, looking slightly ahead of you. Really find power and strength in your planks. Lower down, chaturanga. Inhale, upward facing dog, lengthening the back of your neck, lengthening the lower back, extending the tailbone down. Back to chaturanga. Exhale, downward facing dog. Pull your navel in towards the spine and breathe. Nice deep inhalations. Slow down the rate, speed of your exhalations. You can walk in place here, lowering one heel down at a time and breathe into the back of your legs here. Bring conscious breath into your hamstrings and calves, ankles. Inhale your right leg up towards the ceiling, roll the right hip over the left hip. Lift your right knee as high as you can up towards the ceiling. Press the hands down into your mat and you can square your hips and step your right foot down. Go over to the other side. Left leg reaches up, left hip over the right hip. Bend your knee, press your knee as high as you can, drop the left foot behind you. Keep your shoulders aligned and just breathe here into your inner thighs, hips, hamstrings. And let's square the hips and step it back down into downward facing dog. Walking in place one more time. Take your time. And let's come on to the tippy toes. Lift your heels as high as you can. Look ahead of you. And prepare to either jump or walk your feet at the front of your mat between your hands. Chair pose. Inhale, come all the way up to standing, hands in prayer. Big breath in, chair pose one more time. Exhale, hands on the floor, forward fold. And let's bring the hands in front of us, look ahead of you, flat back, jump or walk back to plank or chaturanga. Inhale, upward facing dog, pressing the toes down, lifting the kneecaps up, extending the tailbone down. Breathe. Back to chaturanga and plank. Take a nice strong plank. And we're going to step the feet on the outside of the mat and bring one hand on the hip at a time for 10 repetitions, going left and right, alternating. Try to keep your hips as steady as you can while you do this. Really pull your belly in, breathe, and stay steady. Keep your breath steady. Keep pressing your heels away from you and count till 10. And let's hop the feet back together. This time we're just gonna bring the knees in between the elbows again for 10. Trying to keep the hips steady. Lifting the knees into the chest. And keeping the breath steady. Hop the feet on the outer edges of your mat one more time. And this time we're gonna reach with the hand in front of us. Changing left to right for 10. Keep your hips level with the floor. Keep a strong connection with your core and with your breath. Press your heels away from you towards the back of your room. Count for 10. When you're done, you can hop the feet together. Chaturanga, upward facing dog. Pressing the space between the collarbones open. Back to chaturanga and exhaling downward facing dog. As you complete an exhalation, come on to the tippy toes and bend your knees. Hop your feet to the front of your mat. Take chair pose. Inhale, come all the way up to standing, hands over the third eye and over the heart. Inhale, chair pose. Exhale, hands on the floor, straighten your legs. Forward bend. And you can shake your head yes and no, or look left and right, making sure there is no tension in the back of your neck. Let's bring the hands on the floor, look ahead of you. Jump back, chaturanga. Inhale, upward facing dog. Back to chaturanga. Exhale, downward facing dog. And let's come into plank and grab left hand right knee, right hand left knee, staying in plank and maintaining alignment for 10, alternating sides. Continue with your steady breath. When you're done with your 10 reps, move into upward facing dog, chaturanga, and downward facing dog. Inhale, right leg comes up, come up into lunge. Exhale, come down on the floor, plank, chaturanga, upward facing dog, back to chaturanga, downward facing dog. And we're gonna move with the breath fast here. Left leg comes up, coming into lunge, hands on the floor, stepping back, moving through a vinyasa with an optional second chaturanga, and back to downward facing dog. And let's come into plank one more time, and this time we're gonna touch the knees with the same side hand for 10. Left hand to left knee, right hand to right knee, trying to maintain your steady breath, looking slightly ahead of you. When you're done with your 10, you can move through your vinyasa all the way back to downward facing dog. Inhale, right leg comes up, step it through, drop the back heel down, come up, warrior one. Rotating the left hip forward. Exhale, bring your hands down on the floor, step back, plank, chaturanga, upward facing dog, and all the way back to downward facing dog. Inhale, left leg comes up, step it through, bring the back heel down, warrior one on the left side. Keep pressing, rotating the right hip forward here, extending the tailbone down, pressing into the outer edge of your right foot. As you exhale, lower down and move through your vinyasa all the way back to plank. This time we're gonna jump the feet on the outside of the mat 10 times, counting only the jumps on the outside of the mat. And when you're done, let's bring the right foot between the hands and come up, warrior two. Go a little deeper into your warrior, sink a little deeper in this lunge. Look ahead of you, relax the shoulders. Exhale, lower all the way down into plank. And let's hop the feet again for 10 on the outside of the mat. Star plank. And over to the left side, left foot comes strong, come up, warrior two. Making sure your left knee is aligning with your toes, pressing into the outer edge of the right foot. Come all the way down, plank, chaturanga, big breath in, back to chaturanga, exhale, downward facing dog. Coming back to your breath. Spread the fingers wide open, rotating the triceps in towards the ears. Come onto the tippy toes and jump into chair pose. Inhale, come all the way up to standing, hands over the third eye and over the heart. We're gonna go into balancing tree pose here. Maintain your breath while you do this. Stay steady, bring the left foot into your left inner thigh or on your calf. Reach all the way up over your head and exhale, lower down into forward bend, keeping your tree pose if possible here. I'm challenging my balance further by bringing both hands around my calf, even for a moment. Great. From here, bring your hands on the floor, hop back, and move through your Vinyasa. Chaturanga, upward facing dog. Chaturanga, downward facing dog, and you can release the leg and bring your knee towards the opposite elbow, left knee, right elbow. Then, keeping your hips steady. And when you're done, let's bring the foot down on the floor. Come up into lunge, left foot forward, hands over the heart. And let's bring the right elbow on the outside of the left knee. Use your elbow to go a little deeper here. Open the chest a little more. Widen the back, lengthen the spine. With each inhalation, open your chest a little more. With each exhalation, soften your belly a little more. And let's come out of this. Reach all the way over your head. Exhale your hands on the inside of your left foot. Drop your right knee on the floor. Keep your left knee over your ankle. And stay here for a couple of breaths just to get your hip flexors open. Let's straighten the left leg here and sit back. You can sit all the way back onto your right heel or just halfway back, lowering the chest over the extended leg. Flex your toes, pull your toes back in towards you. Coming back out of this, back to lunge, hands on the inside of the left foot. And let's step the right foot forward. Keep your feet a little wider than hip width apart, coming into yogic squat with prayer. Hands in prayer, elbows on the insides of the knees. And let's straighten the legs and come into a forward bend. Inhale, look ahead of you. Flat back. Lengthen the back of your neck. And come all the way up to standing, hands in prayer. Step your feet either together or hip width apart and prepare for your left side here. We're gonna stand on the left foot, bring the right foot into our inner thigh. Try to keep the body in one plane here. There is a different angle of this pose so that you can see the tree pose on the left side. Press your right foot into your left inner thigh or calf and press the thigh back into your foot. Hands over the head. Slowly begin to exhale your hands down on the floor and see if you can balance here with one or both hands off the floor for a second or for a little longer. Great, and let's bring the hands down on the floor and hop back, plank, chaturanga, keeping the tree pose if you can. Back to plank and exhale, downward facing dog. And let's take the right leg up. And we're gonna bring the right knee towards the left elbow in plank. Draw your belly in, breathe, 10 reps. Keep your chest open, back wide. Press the back heel away from you, spread your fingers wide open and maintain the alignment of your hands. And let's step the right foot between the hands, come up, high lunge. Hands over the heart, lengthen your spine, exhale, twist. Bring your left elbow on the outside of the right knee. Press the back heel away from you. This is going to help you with balancing here. Look over your right shoulder. If you need to go a little deeper in your lunge, focus on your exhalations. Try to maintain space around your ears and neck. Inhale, come out of this twist. Exhale, bring your hands on the floor on the inside of your right foot. Lower your left knee down. Keep your right knee over your right ankle. Tuck your tailbone under, extending the tailbone down towards your heel, and breathe into your hip flexor here. When you extend your tailbone down, you're gonna really isolate the stretch into the front of your leg, into your hip flexor, and just focus your breathing into that area, bring it there. Let's straighten the right leg and sit back, either all the way back or halfway back. Flex your right foot and pull the toes back in towards you. Inhale, come back up. Bring your hands on the inside of your right foot again. Take your knee off the floor and let's step the back foot forward, coming into yogic squat one more time. And let's bring the hands around the big toes. You're gonna grab your big toes with your index, middle finger and thumb. Straighten your legs holding your big toes. And we're gonna roll back all the way into plow, holding the toes if you can. You can pause the video and try this a couple of times. And again, reverse and roll back out of plow into standing, still holding your big toes. Again, you can try this a couple of times. Practice it. And let's stretch one leg at a time, bringing it towards the chest in a seated pose. Release your legs down on the floor. Inhale, reach over your head. Exhale, seated forward bend. And let's bring the hands by the hips in Dandasana. Open the chest. Cross your legs and go back, step back into plank. And we're gonna do 20 mountain climbers, jumping the knees into the chest, switching. Go for 20, look ahead of you. Maintain steady breath. Keep your belly in and chest open. Once you're done with your 20 reps, step your right foot between your hands, come up, high lunge. Exhale, go down on the floor. Switch your feet, jumping, and come back up, high lunge. Jump and switch. Coming up, really stay with your breath here and try to maintain steady breath as you continue with a few more of those. Coming up, reaching over the head and jump switching to go over to the other side. Last one, come up, inhale, and this time we're gonna jump the feet, switch the feet without bringing the hands down on the floor. Just do a few jump lunges here. Do your best to maintain proper alignment. Your knee should be over your ankle. And let's exhale the hands down on the floor for a few more mountain climbers. 20. Keep looking slightly ahead of you. Keep your belly in. If you're not completely exhausted, you can do 30 instead of 20 mountain climbers. And let's take the right leg up, step the right foot between your hands, drop the back heel down, come up warrior 2. Sink a little deeper into your warrior. Straighten your front leg, both knees are straight, reach way ahead of you and lower down. Triangle pose, Trikonasana. Really try to lengthen all 4 sides of your torso here. Your hands are reaching away from each other. Your feet are active, arches of the feet are lifted. Your left hip is externally rotating here. Inhale, use your core, come up to standing and look towards the back of the room. Bring your feet towards the back of the room, take warrior 2. And let's straighten both legs. Hinging at the hips, reach as far ahead of you as you can. Lower down. Triangle pose on the left side. Lifting the kneecaps up, opening the right hip up. Lengthen your spine. Drop your shoulders down. Keeping your toes spread open. To come up, use your core, come up to standing, and let's point the feet forward. Bring your hands on your hips, look up and lower down in a forward fold. You can keep your hands on your hips or you can bring them on the floor. Press into the outer and inner edges of your feet, lift your kneecaps up. And let's bring the hands on the floor, bending the right knee, straighten the left leg, pull the toes on the left side in towards you. You can come into complete full squat or just keep your thigh parallel to the floor and switch sides. Really pull your toes back in. Try to keep your left knee back over your ankle. And let's squat a few more times on the left and right side. Keep your knee back. Your hip is pressing as far back as you can. This time you can keep your toes on the floor, pressing the outer edge of your foot on the floor, and switch a few times between the left and right side, stretching the inner thighs here. And when we're done, let's step into plank. Chaturanga. Upward facing dog, back to chaturanga, exhale downward facing dog. Inhale, right leg comes up, exhale, right foot between the hands. Inhale, come up, warrior 1. And let's bring the hands on the hips, step your back foot slightly in so that your hips can be squared completely with the wall in front of you. Reach with your left hand in front of you and lower your left hand on the floor or on your shin bone if you're not very open here. Optional, you can keep your knees or the front knee bent here as long as you can maintain this length of your spine. You can keep your legs straight, otherwise just modify the pose so that you can keep your spine elongated. And let's bring the hands on the floor, lower your chest over your right leg. Optional, knees can be bent here too. Intense side stretch. Keep pressing the back heel down into your mat. And let's bring the hands down on the floor. Bend the right knee and let's step forward with the left foot. Bring the left ankle above the right knee. Squat into chair on one leg. hands in prayer. Arm balance is optional. Either stay in the previous pose or you can bring your hands down on the floor, bringing the shin bone into your elbows and lifting the back leg behind you to jump into Chaturanga and move through a Vinyasa all the way back into downward facing dog. And over to the left side, let's take the left foot between the hands, come up, warrior one. Straighten both legs, square your hips with the front wall. Bring your left hand on your left hip, keep your left hip back, press the right hip forward. Reach with your right hand way ahead of you. Lower down, Trikonasana. Open the chest. Press the back heel down. Press into the outer edge of your right foot, inner edge of your left foot. Keep your hips square. Try to maintain conscious awareness of where your hips are in space. And let's bring the hands on the hips and lower your chest over your extended left leg. Intense side stretch. Keep pressing into the outer edge of your right foot. Breathe into your hamstrings here. Hands on the hips, come up to standing, and we're gonna take one step forward to bring the right ankle above the left knee. Sit back, chair pose. You can stay here in chair pose. This is a great hip opener. Feel free to hold this for a few more moments. Otherwise, you can go and experiment with the arm balance. And go back into plank, upward dog, downward facing dog. Exhale. Spread the fingers wide open. Shoulders back and down. Shoulder blades tucked into the back. Take the right hand underneath you, palm facing up. Glide it underneath you and lower down, lowering the back of your shoulder on the floor, back of your head. So this is not, your side of the head is not on the floor here, the back of your head is on the floor. Slowly come back out of this and over to the other side. Reach with your left arm as far as you can across from you and then lower down. Breathe into the back of your shoulder. Hips are above the knees. You can reach with your top arm forward, or you can keep your top arm bent, hand on the floor. Inhale, slowly coming back up to all fours. And let's walk the hands just a little further in front of us. Plant your palms, the palms of your hands into your mat and sit back. You're gonna feel a really great stretch along your entire spine here. This is a great stretch for your back. And either stay in child's pose here, or if you're experienced with headstand, you can clasp your fingers, hands together, pressing the forearms into the floor and lifting up into a quick headstand. We're not gonna hold it for a long time. The whole sequence today is a quick sequence focused on cardiovascular capacity and strength. Lower down out of headstand slowly and in control. Lower the feet on the outside of your mat and come into a wide-legged forward bend. Left hand on the floor, right arm reaches up. Switch sides. Keep your spine long and your shoulders down, hips steady. One more time, reaching right hand up and forward. Keep your hips square and switch sides. Left arm up and over, hips still square. And let's jump the feet. Together, sit back chair pose. Clasp your hands behind you, forward bend. Exhale. And let's bring the hands on the floor in front of us. Look ahead of you. Jump back into Chaturanga, upward facing dog. Exhale, sit back, child's pose. Allow your tailbone to sink down. Allow your hips to drop down, regardless of if they're your hips. Even if they're in the air, that's fine. Just allow a heaviness, a feeling of heaviness to occur. Drop your shoulders. Allow complete relaxation to begin to occur in your body. The breath is slowly returning back to normal. Inhale your hands over your head, look ahead of you, and we're going to continue with the last abdominal core segment. Very quick pace, lower down onto your forearms, step your feet on the outside of your mat, come up onto your hands and jump your feet in mountain climbers. Again, lower down forearms, stepping the feet on the outer edges of the mat, coming up onto the hands for mountain climbers. And again, lower down forearms, feet on the outer edges of the mat, come up, mountain climbers, or you can just bring your feet into your chest. One more time, lower down, step it out, step it in, come up, mountain climbers. And again, lower down, forearms, feet step out to the sides, and you can take a break in child's pose. Good job. Take a few nice deep breaths and let's come up into seated. Bring your legs in front of you. And let's continue with knee ins. Keep your back straight and bring your knees in for 8 to 10 reps. Keeping the chest open. And let's hug the knees into the chest. Clasp your hands in front of you and reach side to side. Feet are on the floor, knees bent, chest open, back wide and straight. Keep the curve in your lower back. Next and last exercise is opposite elbow to knee. Keeping the alignment of the spine. Big breath in, open the chest, slowly lower yourself down onto your back. Let's bring that right knee into the chest and across from your body. Look over your right hand, supine twist, keep your shoulders down on the floor. Soften your breath, begin to soften your gaze. Coming back up and over to the other side. Look all the way over your left hand, allowing the neck to stretch as well. Shavasana. Turning your awareness towards your heart and extending gratitude to your heart for its compassion, generosity, and love. Namaste.